away. The spacemen sail the cosmic bay. From Jupiter to Saturn we'll deliver our freight on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams, through the nebula's mist we'll forge our own schemes. In the vastness of space where no man has been, we'll navigate, chart the unexplored galactic highway. Heave ho, mateys, upon the starry sea. We're the spacemen sailing through infinity. With our voices loud and our spirits free, we'll voyage across the celestial sea. Voyage across the celestial sea.
In the abyss of the cosmos we set sail. Through crimson skies our ship prevails. Across the stars a celestial flight, metal warriors bound by might. In this realm of shadows darkness unfurls, a symphony of chaos, where planets whirl and nebula of fury untamed, sailing through the void where nothing's the same. We ride through the cosmos, a metal storm, defying gravity, our spirits transform through supernovas and celestial clouds. Our stellar voyage forever in the skies.
Digging deep in the Martian soil, searching for that precious ore. With pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one, unearthing treasures under the sun. In the cratered plains where no one dreamt, we're the pioneers on this frontier we're sent. Oh, we mine on the red planet soil, drilling down, down, down for the treasures we toil. With grit and determination, we push ahead for Mars' hidden riches. We're truly bred. We're truly bred. Hoist the sails and let the wind guide our way. We're the spacemen sail the cosmic bay. From Jupiter to Saturn we'll deliver our freight on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams, through the nebula's mist we'll forge our own schemes. In the vastness of space where no man has been, we'll navigate, joy the unexplored galactic highway. Heave ho, mateys, upon the starry sea, we're the spacemen sailing through infinity.
Greetings, ladies and mental gents, and welcome to this live stream of energy.
Across the celestial sea.
Alrighty. I think out of all the generated songs, this one's probably the best one. Definitely the most catchy one. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. Doing fantastic, even. I've got my on-site Osho representative just ensuring that I'm following all the relevant rules and stuff.
Through crimson skies our ship prevails. Across the stars a celestial flight. Metal
I'll give you a picture of El Capitan.
in this realm of shadows, darkness unfurls. A symphony of chaos.
Hello?
Where
Why aren't you working?
nebula of fury untamed, sailing through the void where nothing's the same. We ride through the cosmos, a mental storm, defying
Really?
gravity.
Oh, we're not doing this, are we? It doesn't want to, for some reason. Let's see if we can make this work. This is what happens when you go off script. Just lower that volume a bit. Good morning, Gene, Daniel, Anthony, Lord Volpax, Postmatic. Hope you're all having a fantastic day.
Digging deep in the Martian soil, searching for that precious ore.
Right, this'll work.
Pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one, unearthing treasures under the sun.
There we go. There's the Osho representative sitting next to my foot.
We're the pioneers on this frontier we're sent.
He's taking a contemplative little break. Seems to be making working noises, i.e. snoring.
Drilling down, down, down for the treasures we toil. With grit and determination, we push ahead for Mars hidden riches.
Yes, the boss is in. Thankfully, he can't knock my foot off the table because my foot isn't on the table. But I'm sure he'll try anyway. This is Lord Belial of the Smelly. Anyways. Yeah, coffee. Coffee. Well, this is the warmest room in the house, so we're heading into autumn / winter / fall, whatever you want to call it. So he lurks in this room mostly. Dudley Durong. That's a good name. The fourth. Mustn't forget the fourth. This thing is mostly called Boy Cat, because we only own 2 cats. One's a female cat, the other one's a male cat, so we call him Boy Cat. Funny thing, though. So every night before I go to bed, I take the dog out for a pee. So I wander into the back garden, the dog follows me, and then the cat follows me. So we take a little stroll around the garden. all three of us. Then I walk back to the steps, the dog in tow, but the cat, is a cat, takes its time. But then I whistle for the cat. The cat hears me whistling for it, and it runs across the garden, bounding to the door. And just as it reaches the door, it stops and then strolls in, pretending like it didn't run. But yes. Good morning, Captain No Name. Hope you're doing well. Marcus, same to you. Welcome, welcome. Yes, very typical cat. It must never be seen to be putting effort in. Everything is in its own time and at its own pace.
Sailing through the cosmos, it's my final voyage. Leaving Earth behind, seeking stars to my homage in the depths of space.
Yeah, that too.
No one can hear, I'll sing my space.
This cat scares the hell out of me every night, so I have a bath every night. For no other reason than to loosen the muscles in my back and neck. So I have a hot bath every night before I go to bed. This thing stands on the corner, edge of the bed. Not bed. Edge of the bath. And then leans in and starts licking the water. And every night I'm terrified he's going to fall in. And I'm going to have to go to the hospital and explain how I got so many cuts on my legs. And possibly other places. Well, yeah. I mean, technically it's not even my cat. It's my wife's cat. But don't tell it that.
Chasing dreams that sparkle like stars shining bright. I'll serenade the heavens with my cosmic lullaby. A space shanty.
Right, so I think today will probably only be a single story day. Yesterday my voice gave out. And it probably has something to do with the sinus infection I have, which I didn't really want to talk about because I was able to work through it, but apparently not. Yesterday said no. Good morning, Whiskey. I hope you're doing well. Yeah. I mean, you can always get the hyperallergenic cats, but those are weird. Although I hear that Russian blues, the cat breed Russian blue, they don't trigger cat allergies. Fair enough, Marcus. That is very fair. Let me put this on the right-hand side. That way I don't have to dodge my microphone every time I take a sip. Feeling okay, Deuce. Not as bad as yesterday. Yesterday I felt very dry. It's a weird thing to say, but it was just I couldn't get hydrated for some reason. Fair enough. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, so whatever happened yesterday, I don't think it'll happen today. I don't think there was any long-term effects of trying to narrate through it. But yeah, feeling okay. Tired. I didn't sleep well, but that's normal for me. But yeah, the British blue / the Russian blue, their fur is slightly different, so it doesn't trigger the same allergies. Or you can go with the skinned rats, not skinned rats, yeah, the sphinxes. I don't know. Looks like a gremlin hunting me at night, trying to take my soul. That's what they look like to me. Good morning, Wolfos. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to bed dehydrated, so it wasn't dehydration per se. I think it was one of the medications I might have taken. Good morning, Maddie. And Antihistamines do that. They dry you out quite badly. So I've got a special one from the doctor. They look like a cross between a gremlin and a Furby. That's what they look like. But as far as I'm aware, they've got quite a lot of skin issues. But a lot of purebred animals have health issues. That's why I don't tend to get purebreds. It's getting warm in here. Right. No. It's one of those days where the temperature is middling. So it's somewhere between cold and hot. Cold-ish without the jacket on. Hot-ish with the jacket on. But such is life. Yeah. Fair enough, Captain No Name. Homunculus is definitely a good word for those things. Squirrel nuggets. Okay. Good morning, Charles. I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to the live stream. We're busy discussing cats because the boss is in attendance today. He's lying on the blanket next to my foot. Right, that reminds me. I need to tell my chat. My Discord server. Copy link. Copy link. Paste link. Close. Fair enough, Wolfos. Fair enough. Although the scar's healing quite nicely. I mean, it'll always be there. But it's not as red as it was. That's not good, Gene. It can be rough, not having a companion pet. Oh, well, he's already made an appearance. How did I do it, though? I took a picture. No, I wasn't going to pick him up. What did I do? That was edit that. Scroll out. And then... So there he is. A picture of a cat. Meow. Meow. Good morning, Phoenix Paul. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, fair enough, Charles. Inspiration hits in all the weird places. So it's two middle-aged men sitting here recording stuff. Although my middle age took a bit longer to get to than his. He's the quality control assistant today, making sure all the work that we do is of a stat. No, he's just left. Okay, now we can talk about the cat. He's gone. He's not going to claw my legs. He's fat and slow, doesn't chase mice. Nope, he just turned around and walked back in. I'm sorry? I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. I wasn't talking schmack about you. I promise. Well, please don't hurt me. Okay. Yes, I am in my 40s, which is considered middle-aged. Well, was. I don't know what it is now. Still waiting for the midlife crisis to happen. That was a good story. It was one of those who's talking kind of stories. You know, we don't know until the end. Yes, definitely. He's the head moderator of everything. The world, the universe, reality. He's a moderator, just like every other cat. Well, middle age really depends on how long you plan on living for. If I'm planning on living to 140, then 70 is definitely middle-aged. Most children's today, 18-year-olds, would consider 40 boomer territory. But an age is just a number, and I can't count above 10, so we're all good. Well, maybe 20 if I take my shoes off. But that's on a good day. I get stuck at work. I mean, cats taking over the world. They already run it. Why would they need to take it over? Now the dog, the dog is the best alarm system. It is just not brave. So it'll tell me something's happening, and then hide behind me to tell me this. Which is fine, it's a small dog. Smallish dog. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the buffer. Where are we in the buffer anyway? Well, we've got stories all the way up until Monday. And then if we narrate today's one, it'll be Tuesday. So, it's not too bad. It's just one of those, was just hard on myself because it's like, well, we were making progress and then all of a sudden I wasn't. Which is just frustrating. Yes, very true. If the world were flat, all the cats, even the wild big cats, would just knock things off the edge. Yeah, definitely. It just leaves its minions to rule the world. Makes its desires known to everyone. But yeah, the uplift stories can be fun. I mean, I've had a dog pretty much since I was a kid. Not the same dog, obviously, but several. So the AI voices, I'm ambivalent towards. My only frustration with them is they don't ask permission. There is an audience for that stuff. So I wouldn't say I'm not a gatekeeper of anyway. So as long as they ask for permission and there's an audience for it, cool. Go for it. I think there's a big AI one. It's like 50,000 subs. He asks for permission, or she. They ask for permission. But most of the others don't. And as for the AI-generated stories, I haven't overly come across one, but I haven't been specifically looking either. I think you can use AI to give you ideas for a story, but you need to put a human touch on it. Thank you very much for the follow, Phoenix Paul Mobile, which may or may not be related to Phoenix Paul. we won't try and make any assertions about that. I don't mind it, Salt. Aggro rhythm is a fine word. It doesn't bug me. I have no thoughts on it either way, really. I mean, those sorts of things build a community. And I hate to use the term community, but it brings people together, makes people feel included when there's like specific channel tropes and memes. So if you find it fun to do that, use that word, then go for it. Well, I've got a box on my desk filled with crap. Not actual crap, just bits and bobs. And the cat jumped up on the table. It's a small box. It's a teeny tiny box. We don't have a teeny tiny cat. So this is the box. It's got a bunch of computer stuff in there. Some knives and computer stuff. And the cat jumped up on the table and gave the box an evil stare for at least a couple minutes, trying to suss out where it could fit its fat ass into it. It decided, at some point, that was too much effort, and then went and slept on the blanket. Yeah. So I think AI stories can be interesting, but you do need to be able to not, what did you call it? Curate them in the right direction and do some editing on them, just to make sure the repetition isn't there. I've used some on the horror channel to flesh out some ideas, but they always do weird stuff, so you need to give it a read, you need to give it an edit. And that is true, Nigel. But as long as you give them a good life, I think that makes up for the loss. Yeah. Fair enough, Charles Woodmore. Yeah, sounds like an interesting story. Yeah, I can agree with that, Menetheria. It's a problem within the whole ChatGPT or large language model, because they don't understand the repetition, so they'll say the same thing multiple times because it makes sense in the sentence or paragraph, but it's not referencing its previous paragraph. So consistency is a big problem. That does sound nice, Redvex. Very, very noms. Yeah, I think AI is a tool, which could be used in any way. And a lot of people are just using it as a quick cash grab. I figured it was you, Phoenix Paul. I was just being sarcastic. Or it was somebody trying to copy you. Either way, a follow is a follow. Not a problem, Phoenix. We'll see you in the mobile form. Awesome. Well, the thing with goals is, this particular goal, is it's, the goalposts are quite loose, so it tends to move. Good morning, Rolando. I hope you're doing well. Dark Mirror, same to you. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Yes. Well, you need to get stuff out of boxes for computers, so you need a computer knife. It's... I probably can't even show a knife on screen. It's the box this came in. So this is going to be my backup server. once I get my hard drives. So it's the box that came in. So there's all the spare parts from that, plus a random knife that was on my desk. Daniel McKay, thank you very, very much for the 5 gifted subs. It is very awesome of you and very appreciated. That's weird. I know YouTube has been doing some weird stuff recently. Somebody was complaining last night that the audio and video didn't play for 8 minutes. It's very strange. That's very true. I mean, I think some people don't take that extra step to just read the story. I think first draft is good enough. Not even first draft, it's first menu. No, storyboarding is good enough for a story. I've seen a few of those. My day's been okay. My neighbors at the back is doing some building stuff, so lots of noise. Which brings me to a very South African thing. So my neighbors at the back, they decided that their back wall wasn't high enough. It's a 5-foot wall, and it needs to be a 7-foot wall. So now they're busy increasing the height to a standard, normal 7-foot wall between our properties. As most South Africans would be like, oh, that's a normal wall. Which it is. So, lots of building and noise and shenanigans happening. I am not entirely sure, Peanut. I think you have to link your account, card or something like that. Good morning, Peanut. Well, I called you whatever the screen shows me, Postmatic. So Postmatic comes through as your handle here. On YouTube, it'll probably be whatever your name is. Yeah, so I mean, I think for narrators at the moment, even for writers, the best way to get past the AI stuff is to be more human than the AI stuff. More personable, more connectable than the AI stuff. That's my thought, at least. Woof, meow, whack, woof. Yarp. Definitely. Yeah, my knife it looks like a straight edge razor. Very similar, but it's a foldable knife. Not a straight edge razor, it's just sort of that squarish style. That's quite sad, Red Vex. But at least you went peacefully. Oh, thank you, Deuce. I try. So, a lot of the changes on the channel that a lot of people were upset about, like showing my face, was actually in anticipation of AI. To prove that I am who I am, and that I'm a human doing what I'm doing, it was one of the reasons why I showed my face. Yeah, there's normally a delay between the two platforms. The Cube. That was a good movie. Not for an entire planet, but that logistics of that might be a bit rough. Well, thank you, Daniel. It is still appreciated. Fair enough, Postmatic? Fair enough. I think the only I've got one nickname, which I shan't mention. Not because it's rude or anything, it's just very weird. Well, not weird, just off the cuff. That is a chunky cat. Oh, we've got 8 people watching on Twitch. Oh, we're hitting the big leagues, boys and girls. We're hitting the big leagues. Good morning, Samantha. I hope you are doing well this day. No, probably not. Probably won't be any more Death Will Us Meet. As far as I understand how he's going to do it. He is releasing the stories. The author, I think it's Alexander, Andrew. He's releasing the 3rd series, I want to say, on HFY, but I haven't heard any more about that. It was a good series, Death Will Us Meet. When Death Will Us Meet, because Death Will Us Meet is a different author with a very similar name. Good morning, Durs the Demon. I hope you are doing well. The brimstone is keeping you warm, and the sulfur is intoxicating. Fair enough, Deuce. Fair enough. But, I think being more human, that's the answer. If you look at what the horror narrators have done, it's adding more personal touches to their stories. William Lucas, First Contact has moved on to Amazon. The author signed an exclusivity clause contract, so I can't do First Contact anymore. If you want to listen to it, it is all available on Audible for free, I think, but it's all AI TTS. Anthony, the standard wall size in South Africa is 7 foot. On that 7-foot wall, you'll have at least 2 of the following: electric fencing, razor wire, or spikes. Sometimes you'll have all 3. And it's not that unheard. It's common enough that you probably wouldn't notice it. So you have a 7 to 10 foot wall with razor wire, electric fencing, and spikes. So that's pretty common here in Johannesburg. Fair enough. OnlyFans should really be called Only Feet. Or Only Foots would actually make more sense. So if you're looking for it on Amazon, it's not called First Contact, it is called Behold Humanity, with an exclamation point. I was born here, but I am first generation. My dad is English, from Battersea, I want to say. My mother was Scottish, from... I have no idea. Scotland, other than that. So they met here when they were they moved here when they were both in their teens, and then they met years and years later. And then I was, result. So that's why the accent is very weird. My Cockney-ish dad, my Scottish mom, South African English, all of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We've got 7 on Twitch and 24 or 25 on YouTube. That's awesome. So Deathworld is Meet and Deathworld is Visit are book 1 and 1.5 of the series. They lack descriptiveness and specificity. So when they want to describe something, they'll use the same description for multiple things, AI, instead of looking at it and going, okay, how can I describe this differently? Do I need to describe it again? Pets definitely make a house a home, although they can be a pain in the ass. Yes, does the demon. The nanite swarm is still after those socks. It's been a while. William Lucas, there will be no more First Contact. The author, Rolfs Bloodthorn, has signed a contract with Amazon, an exclusivity clause, so I can't do it anymore. If you want to catch up on it, it's called Behold Humanity, and it is available on Audible. Chat's going so fast that I'm not even catching up. Oh, that's fair enough. I think it's 1, people got sick. 2, people saw how well there was one when I got sick, when I did the surgery. There was one big channel that AI channel, big as like 50,000 subscribers, that was doing HFY content. So other people see that and they're like, oh, he's been successful. He's doing this thing, so I'm going to do it as well. Now that channel, I can't actually remember the name of it. He asked for permission. He spent time. Oh no. Can I help you? Why are you on my table? There is a cat annoying me. Just can't see. Let's just move this over here. Doesn't normally jump up on the table. Don't know what he wants. It's not a lap cat. Crime is quite bad here, yes. Whiskey. It's pretty bad. Oh, stop booping me. What do you want? Since when do you do this? It's obviously because I'm streaming. Thank you, Whiskey, I think. I think it's because I've got such a weird accent. It doesn't really fit in anywhere, but it sounds similar enough to most accents that it could be from any country. It's a pleasure, Rolando. Well, to some people, I mean, especially growing up, you know, kids and accents and stuff. It can be weird. Well, currently AI is just a buzzword. It is the same as an algorithm or machine learning. It's the exact same thing. Except they couldn't give those the name AI because people are so fundamentally against it. Woohoo! Thank you very much for the follow, DJ Hurricane 003. It's very much appreciated. And we've hit the goal? Yes, we've hit the goal. What? Got a cat boofing my elbow while I'm sitting here. He doesn't normally do this, doesn't normally jump over my table. Ferrets are cool pets. Due salt, we are in the process of immigrating out of the country. We've been in this process for about 2 years now. If you want to follow the laws and all of that, there's lots of paperwork and lots of costs. Took 18 months trying to get into England, and that wasn't going to happen, so now we're going to Portugal. Yeah. So crime rate in the 90s compared to now, vastly different. It's a very, very, very different kind of crime. I think it's also significantly worse in some ways. Mainly because, you know, the reporting of it is very suspicious. Well, I mean, he moved over when he was in his 20s, I think. Elon Musk. Excuse me. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's a buzzword now. It's just like any other buzzword. AI is the big buzzword. 5 years ago, it would have been neural networks. 5 years before that, it would have been machine learning. And 5 years before that, it would have been, what was it then? I think advanced algorithms. Self-learning algorithms. Something like that. So right now, AI is the buzzword. And it's getting all the attention that it's getting because it relates to science fiction and movies and doom and gloom and all that stuff. Well, having never lived near the coast, I have no idea how to surf. But, yeah, I mean, the requirements are a lot more easily attained for Portugal. So we're in that process. We were waiting for the house to sell, so that's sold now. This is a rental property. No, cat, don't drink my monster. You'll explode if you drink that. So for all of us, it's easier. I mean, technically, I could get into England whenever I want, specifically me, and my dad. But my wife and brother-in-law couldn't. The problem is, it costs a lot of money to immigrate to the US. It was one of the first things I checked because most of my audience is in the US and YouTube is in US. I did talk to a lawyer about it, and he said it was going to be a multi-year process and it was going to cost at least $100,000, at least. So, yeah. I think AI is just a tool. A tool and a buzzword that everybody likes talking about. And the same with any tools. You get people who can use them spectacularly well, and you get people who just do not give a crap and then use them the wrong way. Alrighty. What are we doing? We're going here. We're opening these. Okay, so we did all the word or the voice assignments yesterday. So we should be able to just quickly pop in, knock this out. It will be the only one I'm doing today. The cat is sulking, and I don't know why. Why are you sulking? Why are you being a nuisance? Well, I mean, it's a cat, obviously, but... Is it because you're locked in? Okay. I will be right back. I'm going to release the Kraken. The cat. The cat racken. Alrighty, it has been unleashed upon the world to do whatever it wants to do upon the world. So, because they're working in the wall in the back of the house, got the door closed to the studio, which we don't normally do. So he was kind of locked in. So it's understandable that he was being annoying. Good morning, Orcilio. I hope you're doing well. Not a problem, Durs the Demon. Thank you for popping past. And I hope you have a fantastic sleep. And a great day. Alright, let's get some work done. Yes, it's a Kit Cthulhu. That would be the other cat. Alrighty. So there are a few new names. Hello, hello. Hi, welcome. No, fair enough. So normally at this point I'll go through a story and assign codes to each word, like a voice. We did this yesterday, and then as I started narrating, my voice gave out, so I couldn't finish. So we're going to finish that today. Then we're going to chat. Then I'm going to go play Magic the Gathering tonight. And tomorrow. Got a tournament tomorrow. Ooh, big scary tournament. Just adjusting the teleprompter so that it is straight and I don't have to read skew. Because I'm sure that'll confuse everybody. Just tilt the head slightly. Just enough to be annoying. Oh, thank you, Deuce. It's a commander tournament. It's a CDH tournament. CEDH tournament. I'm going there to have fun. I didn't even build a competitive deck. I built a fun deck. I'll still try to win, but it's not likely. I've got a lot of stuff to manage my voice, but I also do have a sinus infection currently, which is why I think yesterday happened. I do physio on the voice every day. Take some pills recommended by the ENT. I do have a Goblin Burn deck. It's not the one I'm taking tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm taking the Master. Well, yeah. I go play Magic the Gathering to talk crap, meet people, play some games. That's why I go. Get out of the house once a week. Because, I mean, that's a big problem when you work for yourself and you work all day, every day. You never leave your house, really. And it's not like I'm an agoraphobic or anything. It just doesn't happen. So Friday nights is go out, touch grass, as the cool kids say, and interact with people. Basically, sit there, talk crap, play games. So that's what I'll do tomorrow as well. Take a deck of my own design, my own brewed deck, and go have some fun. If I win, I win. If I would lose, I lose. It is what it is. Okay. No, I don't drink, so I don't really need to get into a shebeen. A shebeen would be, I don't know, a tavern. A illegal tavern. Shebeens aren't actually that big anymore, outside of the informal settlements. I mean, you do find them. Sort of the poorer areas as well. But I'd be amazed if there was a shebeen in this area. Now, shebeens used to be because the government limited alcohol consumption. So people would hold a legal tavern so that to get around the restrictions on alcohol. But now there's no restrictions on alcohol, so there's no real need for a shebeen. So now it's just basically means something else. Yeah, pretty much a speakeasy. But a speakeasy is probably more upper class than a shebeen. Basically, some guys in an abandoned house or a shack selling beer. Or something. It's that or something part that makes people blind and dead. Okay, so we're gonna go to streaming mode. Streaming mode is green screen mode. Why do I do this? Because the editing software we use is way better at removing the green screen than OBS. And OBS doesn't allow me to stream one scene and record a different one. So this is where we are. Recording. The other thing is, while I narrate, I tend to ignore the chat as to try and keep the flow of the story going, but I do try to catch up once I am done. So for the next 20 to 30 minutes, I will ignore you, chat. It's nothing you've done, it's me, not you. But I will be back. Need to take the glasses off. Need to do the working thing. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. Now, the YouTube app has been a little buggy recently, causing blank spots in my videos to occur. This is not my doing, this is YouTube. I don't like blank spots because that chases people away. If you do experience this, just refresh the page and you should be able to get the content. I do apologize on YouTube's behalf. They could do that, but, they're a small indie company and can't afford team members to do this to you. Anyways, on to the story. The Aggression Plague by Mostly Wicked. It was a fine, warm evening when my elders sprung an unexpected question on me. We were sitting on a porch under the black sky when he raised all 4 eye stalks. When he raised all 4 eye stalks and asked the question,
Dad, what's anger?
An instinctual wave of fear passed through me, but I managed to control it. And lose my mouse. But I managed to control it, I think, except for the slight quiver of my secondary eye stalks that I hoped didn't give me away. It's important to show the little ones that adults are in control, or so my second and third female clustermates keep telling me.
Where did you hear that word, son? From Karis at school,
Lazaro, my son, said, curling his radiator fins shyly.
She says that her dad says that there used to be these tiny dots of light in the sky until the anger come.
I sighed, blowing out a few bubbles of mucus through my breathing hole. Kiris, I think, was the small model one that Lazaro befriended recently. The one that had unusually large parent cluster of 18 parents. Some people don't have any modesty or sense of tradition. My cluster was 8, and that was as it should be. And no matter what anyone said, I was not jealous of anyone's mating cluster's size. I'll need to take note and track down which of her 9 fathers told her this reckless story, and have a frank talk with him. These kids were only 9 pulses old. They weren't ready for learning this stuff. I had a brief internal debate with myself, but I knew the damage was already done. Lazaro learned about anger. If he didn't hear the full story from me now, he'd just hear the half-truth later. He would just hear the half-truth later. No, stop rolling backwards, chair. Very weird. If he didn't hear the full story from me now, he'd just hear the half-truth later from somewhere else until he was so scared that he wouldn't be able to sleep. As a historian, I was at a unique position to control how my child is... As a historian, I was at a unique position to control how my child is exposed to this information. And knowing what I know, some of the concepts involved are really hard to wrap your neural center around. I could probably do a much better job of it than the teachers at school, even if I do teach it a couple pulses earlier than the usual age. I just hoped that my clustermates were okay with it. We had a mating frenzy scheduled for tomorrow, and I really didn't want to cancel it because of a stupid spat. Especially Kutra, my youngest, 3rd male mate, was as temperamental as he was sweet, and he might object to me exposing our son to such adult topics. If he cancels over this, I'll be upset. I was immensely stressed out from the cataloging project at the library. I needed that frenzy. But my son was more important, and I truly believed that he would be better off hearing the spooky stuff directly from me at this point. Oh well, here goes nothing.
Let's take a walk,
I said, standing up.
But Dad, what if it rains?
It's fine. I have a friend in Hab Engineering.
It's fine. I have a friend in Hab Engineering.
He always warns me in advance on rainy days. It won't rain today. I helped Laszlo up, and we took a leisurely stroll amongst the trees and bushes. Our housing unit was located on the outskirts of the habitation zone. Our housing unit was located on the outskirts of the habitation dome, where the vegetation was particularly dense. The aroma of blooming flowers was especially strong and pleasant. Too bad the mood had to be ruined tonight. Time stretched on as we paced in silence and darkness. As we got further into the outskirts, the lights of the central settlement became dim orbs amongst the trees, barely illuminating the way. You know how we feel different emotions? I finally asked. Like joy, sadness, fear, contentment. Nasal gestured assent, and I smiled. bobbing my radiator fins. There are other emotions than the ones you know. Emotions that can't be experienced by Polarians at all. Our Polarian neural centers are just not wired properly to even comprehend them, much less experience them.
Oh, I know.
His secondary eye stalks rolled with excitement.
Like the Nostani, before they made that like the Nostani,
Why is there a capital letter there?
Like the Nostani, before they made... Like the Nostani, before they made, they butt their horns against each other because they're feeling some emotion that we can't feel.
Well, where are you hearing this stuff? Is it Curus with those stories again? I wrinkled my radiator fins in a frown. It's impolite to talk about mating openly, especially for someone as young as you.
Sorry, Dad.
It's fine. Just keep that vocal organ in check. Anyways, where was I? Oh, emotions. Well, the Nostani example is not a bad one. They have an instinct that causes them to push against each other. For when it comes to their... They have an instinct that causes them to push against each other when some of their possessions are threatened, as well as a few other cases. It's like a game. Whoever pushes the strongest wins to get the, Laszlo giggled. Anyway, the Polarians don't have an equivalent instinct. But there are some other species out there with even stranger instincts and emotions. And one of those emotions is what scientists call the ira motus, or in a more casual parlance, anger. I could see that I had his attention. My main stalks were almost useless now that we were in so far from the lights. My main stalks were almost useless now that we were so far from the lights of the settlement. But my secondary stalks detected the heat of excitement flashing in Laszlo's face.
So anger is an alien emotion? Well, what does it have to do with the lights in the sky?
Do you see anything at all with your main eye stalks now, son?
No, Dad.
My abrupt change of subject had recently caught him off guard.
I was navigating by my heat stalks the last few micropulses.
Good, look up, then. Your main eye stalk should be adjusted enough to the dark to see the smudge. We both looked up, and after a few further moments of adjustment, I could see the smudge, the faintest circular light, curiously cloud-like, stretching across the entire sky. It was thickest at the center, with arms trailing away in spirals, like some exotic seaborne creature.
Ah, I see it.
Good. It's difficult to catch a line without dome sky, but even harder to find a dark spot to see it clearly. We're lucky today.
No, does it have anything to do with anger?
Aren't you clever today? I smiled. Not directly, but we'll get there. Look back the way we came. I heard a faint creak of his eye stalks moving, then moving back to look up.
Hey, I can no longer see the smudge.
It's fine, your eyes just lost their night vision because you looked at the settlement lights. Give it a micropulse to adjust again. The more important thing is, did you see how weak the lights of the settlement were?
Yeah, I can barely see them from here.
Right, that smudge is like that too. We are far away. We are very far away from it, unimaginably far. But the closer you get to it, the brighter it'll seem. A few moments of silence.
Ah, Eureka! Lights in the sky, like Curus said.
Yes, originally all of our ancestors lived inside the smudge, among balls of light and heat that we call stars. I'll teach you the particulars some other time, because we want to talk about anger and other alien emotions right now. Suffice to say that Polarians, Nostani, and all the other species of the Great Friendship originally came from right there. I pointed with my appendage up.
Wow.
Yes, give you some food for thought, does it?
But how come we no longer live there now?
Ah, that's where the anger comes in. You see, We historians classify all alien species into 3 categories according to their ability to experience anger and other emotions of its type, such as hate. A1 races are the vast majority. We are an A1 race too, incapable of comprehending anger. Following so far?
Sure, Dad, but what does it have to do with the smudge?
I'm getting there. Be patient. A2 races are rare. The Nastani and the Arcabus are the only 2 in the friendship, compared to the almost 100 A1 races. They can feel some emotions that are adjacent to anger, but much weaker. Pushing their horns against each other is an example of this. And then there are the A3 races, the ones that feel anger fully.
Dad, I don't understand anything. What's anger to begin with? Why is that emotion so important? Why classify aliens by whether they can experience it? And why does pushing horns a weaker form of anger? I don't get it.
Sorry, I bobbed my radiator fins. You're right, I'm jumping ahead of myself. This was going to be one of the tough parts. Anger is an incredibly alien emotion that leads to incredibly irrelevant... Anger is an incredibly alien emotion that leads to incredibly irrational behavior. After years of study, I could somewhat get it, as much as anyone can understand something he can't ever experience. But explaining this concisely yet clearly was going to be a challenge. Imagine that you really wanted to get a new, shining computer for school. One with a great processor power and pretty ornaments.
I do. Can I have one?
We'll talk about that with your other parents when we get back. Anyways, that's not the point. Imagine that you bring it to school, and without saying anything, Kurus comes up, takes it, and walks away with it, and you never see it again.
Oh, what? Well, that would just be ludicrously impolite. Why would she do that?
She never would, but just imagine that she does it anyway, for some unknown reason. How would you feel about that?
Sad, of course. Maybe you would be a bit worried for Kurus's mental state.
And what would your sadness drive you to do?
I guess that I'd go and talk to her about it. Ask her why she did it, because she must have had a reason.
And if she refuses to tell you, how would you feel then? And what would you do?
Even more sad, obviously. I would ask her for my computer back. I'd ask for my computer back.
And if she refuses?
If she... What? I don't know. I'll be incredibly sad, full of all the sadness under the dome. I'll go and ask you for a new computer.
That's it?
Well, yes. If she won't give it back and won't tell me why, what can I do? I'll need a computer, obviously.
Sure. But would you remain her friend?
Huh?
Laszlo frowned.
What does her friendship have to do with anything?
She did take away your computer in a hypothetical example. She did take away your computer in this hypothetical example.
Sure, but what would stopping our friendship solve? She would be even less willing to explain anything if she wasn't my friend, and that won't prevent her from taking my computer again in the future, right? And then I'll lose the other benefits of the friendship for nothing. There's no reason to stop.
Yes, except if you were capable of experiencing anger. That's not the thought process that would occur to you. I kept one secondary eye stalk on the kid as I talked, and I could see the confusion my last statement brought on. To us Paularians, a radically different approach to problem solving is barely manageable. To us Paularians, a radically different approach to problem solving is barely imaginable. But I knew better than to think our way of thinking was the only one. I wished to the friendship that I didn't, but I knew. Now I guess there's no way around it. It's time to explain exactly what anger is now, or at least try. I sighed. The bubbles of mucus expelled by my sigh were too thin from dread, with an almost no viscosity to them at all. Here goes nothing. Remember a pulse ago when a Polarian fell into an agricultural vat that was suffocated before they could be rescued? and was suffocated before they could be rescued.
Yes, I try not to think about it, such things. Dad, accidents are horrible.
You are completely correct. But what's even more horrible is intentional accidents.
That doesn't make any sense. An accident can't be intentional. It's in the definition of the word.
My son was smart for his age, that's for certain. But this very intelligence was working against his understanding right now. You can't really use intelligence to understand an unintelligent concept. Then what if an accident was brought on not by intention and clumsiness, like it did in reality, but by some other creature pushing them into a vat? A sapient creature, hypothetically speaking, of course.
Why would they do that?
A Polarian never would, of course, and so would no species of the friendship. But, and I think it over very carefully since that kind of thinking is very alien to us, technically, a Polarian can benefit from another Polarian perishing. If, to go back to our earliest example, Curus perished after taking away your computer, you could go over to her belongings and get it back, and they won't be there to hide it from you, to run away, or to convince you not to do it. Long micropulses passed, while my son's radiator fins were wrinkled in deep thought. What I was mostly thinking about is the death of innocence. What was I doing here anyways? Speaking with my son about his friends dying, about monsters prowling inside the smudge. Only about 1 in 10 Polarians had the mental flexibility to really comprehend what aggression, anger, and murder even were. Even after pulses of study and rigorous explanation, I hoped that my son would be one of the 9 in 10. He didn't need to know. Even though I'm not one teaching him all of this, he would be better off living a happy life of ignorance, even if it did affect his odds of survival negatively should he ever encounter an A3er. Perish the thought. In a sense, okay. In a sense, I was murdering his innocence, worsening his mental health for a technical benefit of keeping my own progeny safe. Was that all that was different from the horrors I was teaching Lazaro about? Maybe we Polarians weren't as different from A3 races as we'd like to think.
I know,
Lazaro said eventually, jarring me out of my gloomy thoughts.
Like, there are species of predators that would consume others for food, right? We learned about them just the other day in biology class. Although, I couldn't imagine anyone sentient wanting to do so.
Close enough, son. Not quite there, but close. Creating an intentional accident can also be the result of anger. Anger would be an emotion that drove you to want to arrange intentional harm on another being, attacking them like a predator would, but not out of anger. No. They'll attack for no good reason at all other than this alien emotion causing them to do so.
Yeah, it's getting complicated. I don't think I understand.
Oh, gets even more complicated. Some A3 races can learn to arrange accidents on huge scales. You saw some of our friends, the Lippic, walking around our habitation zone. They're good engineers, the Lippic. Anyway, if you look closely, some of them have 3 upper appendages instead of 2. That is because early on in their species history, a huge orbital power plant exploded as a result of an engineering error, irradiating most of their home planet. A planet that is like a huge habitat. I'll explain in detail later, and causing horrific genetic mutations. Despite the best efforts of genetic engineers, some of these mutations persist in their gene pool even today. Accidents on that scale can also be arranged intentionally. Power plants can be exploded on purpose. Meteors can be intentionally diverted to impact planets. All kinds of horrors, son, but not to dwell on it too much, actually.
Yeah, it's fine. I lost you ages ago. I can't think about it, even if I wanted to. I didn't expect this anger business to be that complicated. But I think I can kind of understand if I imagine all the A3 races to be like predators that can think and build stuff.
Okay, sure, we can call the A3 races predators, if that makes it easier for you to comprehend.
But why are we no longer in the smudge? Is it because of the predators? They must be very rare. If A1 species are the most common and A2 species are much rarer than...
You're a clever boy, Lazaro, but that's not quite true. In reality, A3 races are the most common race by a huge margin. Natural selection favors anger and hate immensely. Almost all sapient species in the universe are A3. The friendship with its A1 and A2 races is a vanishingly small minority. To my chagrin, my son's eye stalks shrunk in horror. Oh, don't worry, son, the universe is not teeming with A3 species waiting to eat you. They all inevitably destroy each other. Either that, or they put their energies inward and never reach the stars, as their alien emotions drive them to make havoc on their own worlds without regard for anything without. For thousands of pulses, the civilization of friendship thought that... For thousands of pulses, the civilizations of friendship thought that just as surely as most species end up in the A3 category, likewise all A3 species are doomed to perish by their own hands, one way or another, without getting out of the prison of their own worlds. Natural selection dictated a natural order. The galactic minority becomes the majority of spacefarers.
But, they were proven wrong, have they? But they were proven wrong, have they?
I hated how small my son's voice sounded, but there was no going back. Yes, they have. We don't know how it happened, but at one point, quite unexpectedly, we encountered a young race called humans. You wouldn't notice anything unordinary by just looking at them. 2 legs, 2 upper appendages, a vertical body plan with a head... 2 legs, 2 upper appendages, and a vertical body plan with a head right on top, and fur in varying lengths topping the head. Nothing remarkable, really. There are plenty of friendship races, much stranger than the humans appeared to be. But pretty quickly we figured out that they were different, and, in their essence, more alien than anything we've ever encountered. They were most definitely, and without any shadow of a doubt, a full-fledged, almost perfect example of a straight-out A3 race. Lazaro was mesmerized.
And they had starships?
Yes, their technology was a bit cruder than friendship standard, but generally comparable.
But why? Why didn't they eat each other on their own planet?
Nobody knows. Some speculate that an unknown A1 race gave them the technology to escape their home system, and they became too scattered to destroy themselves completely. Others think the humans are capable of suppressing their violent emotions. Others think that humans are capable of suppressing their violent emotions, either biologically or by social engineering, for long enough stretches of time to develop spaceship technology on their own.
All right, and they drove us out of the smudge. Did they want to eat us with intentional accidents?
No, not really. Not really, no. But they were mostly nice at first. Some of the friendship races guessed what was coming, though. The Fulcra reacted poorly to the humans' existence. They constructed an immense mothership in record time, 20 times the size of one of our habitats. They stripped several planets of all of their ore to do so, then placed their entire race into cryogenic suspension and ran out of the smudge on their own. The Pits, another friendship race, revealed a startling new technology they never told us about. They developed powerful energy shields that could sustain themselves by feeding off ambient energy. They created many habitats like ours, relocated their races into them, encased them in their shields. They created many habitats like ours, relocated their race into them, encased them in encased them in shields. No, that's not good. They created many habitats like ours, relocated their race into them, encased them in these shields, and dove into the photosphere of their world's sun, becoming effectively unreachable, cloistering themselves off of the universe at large.
What are suns?
Right, I keep forgetting you don't know any of this stuff. Don't they teach it at school anyway? Suffice to say that these two races dropped out of the friendship. Suffice to say that these two races dropped out of the friendship entirely to escape the presence of humans. We were not as smart as those two, and had to learn the lesson the hard way.
But you said that the humans were not trying to eat us.
Not really. We were apprehensive at first, but they seemed pretty fine for an A3 species, as long as you didn't communicate with them for more than a few mini-pulses at a time. When eventually their alien emotions started shining through in a way they talked, they even wanted to join the friendship. Once they learned about its existence, they offered us trade, technology, works of art and philosophy, everything expected of a friendship member races, really. But the thing about anger is that just like any other emotion, one does not feel it all the time. Just some of it. Anger is that... But the thing about anger is that it's just like any other emotion. One doesn't feel it all the time, just some of it. And that was more than enough to cause us immense harm. It started when some independent human ships kept raiding friendship ships for resources. Yes, it's one of those hard-to-get things. A sapient species treating another sapient like a resource. Like ore to be mined or a fruit to be picked from a tree. But that's exactly what they did. Piracy, the humans called it. Once we expressed our horror and asked them to stop. Nothing we can do about it but increase patrols, they said. I tried not to think too hard just then on what happened when one of the human patrols caught up with the pirates and focused on the story. Nope. I tried not to think too hard just then on what happened when one of the human patrols caught up to the pirates and focused on the story. We tried putting bigger engines on our ships so that we could run way faster, but it helped only some of the time. People were dying out there, dying to the predators of an A3, dying to the predations of an A3 race.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not all. Later their government fractured, and suddenly the smudge was like a ball of flame. Rebels and loyalists, they were causing intentional damage to each other by the millions, like that huge accident that I was telling you about, but on purpose. In most cases, they didn't attack our worlds directly, although there were some isolated incidents. All four of my eye stalks shuddered for a moment. But just the spillover was more than enough to cause immense harm to us and the other friendship races. The inevitable self-destruction prophesied by natural selection had begun on a larger scale than anything seen before, and we were swept along with it. Their anger and aggression were spreading like a plague that consumed anything it touched, and we couldn't put a stop to it by talking to them, although we tried. Oh, how we tried. By that point, some of the others already started building their fleets of habitation ships. We quickly followed suit. That's how we got to be here, outside of the smudge. And that's why the humans anger at each other, sometimes at us. Who knows, maybe even at the universe at large. Drove us out of the smudge, and we no longer see its balls of light, its stars, in our dome's sky.
Thanks for explaining, Dad. But all I understood from that is that there are some very scary aliens in that smudge.
That's good enough a lesson, son. You don't really need to understand anything more. It's for the best. Now let's head back home. You have school tomorrow. End of story. Alrighty. Narration mode ended. Yeah, they used to be a lot more common. The humans are villains type stories. The Aggression Plague. It's a cool name, but it doesn't really relate to the story. But never underestimate the power of a cool title. What? Fair enough, Wolfhouse, but it's actually quite rare in HFY. Although the technical definition of HFY is any trait of humanity cranked up to 14, basically. Most people focus on the positives. But some stories focus on other stuff. It's nice to have a bit of variety. Right. Okay, that is exported. Yes. I think it's a combination of two. I mean, yeah, collateral damage and all that. I mean, there's definitely room in there to expand. But I'm not one of those people that just immediately demand more story. It's a pretty decent self-contained story. I think good stories leave you thinking about them and like building your own headcanon. That's fair. That's fair. But I mean, you would imagine they would use the phrase aggression plague in the story. Yes, the aggro shuffle. That is a transition, normally. Reminds me of the video, Are We the Baddies? Okay. Shall generate some background for it. I know. It is so beyond understanding that the good guys always win in the history books. Without fail, the good guys win in the history books. It's almost like, and it's not quite there, but almost like the victors write the books. But I would never say that. That's too conspiratorial. Right, background generated, put it hammy. Pew pew pew. And then email it to editor. Mrs. Aggro Squirrel. Quantum. Cheers. Oh, caffeine. It's good. So this is the new flavor. I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's the original Monster flavor, but in sugar-free. And it's actually quite decent. Alrighty. Now it's time to do a thumbnail. Fair enough, Choles, fair enough. But I need to keep to the sugar-free stuff as much as I can. Right, change the scene. Nope, not there. Where are we? There. Change scene, go. Now it's time for a thumbnail. No, Chant, where did you go? You ran away. No, you're back, okay. It's almost as bad as the cat. I did open the door, so... Who knows, you might have skidded outside. Fair enough, Charles, fair enough. Favorite series? Look, I mean, Chrysalis was good. Epic Loot's also good. Epic Loot reminds me a lot of Terry Pratchett. Chrysalis, but I don't actually do that story anymore. They signed an exclusivity clause, so that was one of the first ones to do so. Mother of Learning was also pretty good. And it was a time loop story, but it was pretty well written. I liked it. And it has like a beginning, middle, and end. But again, that one's also signed a deal with an exclusivity clause. But that one was more of a fantasy, Mother of Learning. All right, so that is the... actually, we can go with the... sticker. No, doesn't look nice. All right, done. Big recording me. Hello. I am Alice, and I just ate the enlarger fire. It was a cookie, wasn't it? Was the potion? Potion to return to original size. Was it a potion of smallness and then the cookie of big? No, whatever. Excuse me. But if you're looking for bits for a series that's still on my channel, Epic Loot is definitely there. It's still ongoing, we're pretty much caught up with it. It's quite cool. And then what else do we still have? Survivor is, becomes dungeon is also pretty decent. Not a problem, Fubits. Not a problem. Today is going to be a short stream, I think. What's the time? It's almost 12. There is no epic loot here, only puns. That is the full name of the series. I just typed it out. Well, there is no epic loot here. Only puns. Cheers, Fubits. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for popping past. It is very much appreciated. What was I doing? Stuff and things, probably. Oh, that's what I was doing. Well, we're at a 70% rate of not getting demonetized or limited ads on the streams. We're doing better. We're not saying as nearly as, I say we, like anybody else, but me is saying the naughty words, the bad words, the words that'll eat into your brain and cause you to do things. Those bad words. As long as I don't say those bad words, like some sort of alchemist or mage or sorcerer, I won't suffer any effects. But we all know what happens when you say the bad words. The bad words hurt people. Well, specifically YouTube. I wouldn't classify that as people, specifically. Even though it is made up of people. Okay, so we're ahead by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. 5 days ahead, that's pretty decent. I suppose. Dead internet theory. If the dead internet theory is true, then YouTube employees are just a figment of the imagination. Because that's what happens when you have a problem with your channel. They're just gone. Red rum. Murder. Murder. I suppose the red rum thing only makes sense if you really watched, what's it, The Shining. Don't know whether it was in the remake. It's definitely in the, well, remakes, this being more than one. It is an integral part of the story, but I suppose it doesn't mean that it will be part of the movie. So, inside baseball, we've reached our follower goal, which is very much appreciated. Now we can end the goal. Yes. And we can make it 260. So close. So close. Yeah, it's also in the book. Yeah, Buffalo Bull. Good old Buffalo Bill. Well, I mean, it's as difficult as finding a service worker at 4:30 on a Friday. Just gone. I mean, like in the office. I used to do that. 4:30 on a Friday, I wouldn't answer my phone when I worked in corporate sport. It's like, I don't care. It's like, why couldn't you have done this, whatever it is, earlier in the day? Why do you have to do it at 4:30 on a Friday? So then they would walk to my desk and then get my attention and be like, no, I want to go home. Look, I honestly believe that no one person in Google knows how the algorithm works. It's very odd seeing my face in 3 different faces. One there, one there. Kind of see the reflection over there. They're all slightly off. So there's a cool effect. I don't know what it's called. But microphones like this feed into a interface, and that feed into your computer. You also get USB microphones that connect directly into the computer. But on most microphones, you can plug a headphones into the microphone or into the interface, so that you have instant hardware feedback. So this means I hear my voice the same way that you hear my voice. But there's a really, really interesting thing. If you don't have a microphone that does all of this, and you use software to do it, it is half a second, half a micron. It's just ever so slightly slower than your voice. And your brain gets confused. So you start talking, but your voice is out of sync. So you slow down so that your voice can catch up. So you're starting to speak slower, but your voice is still out of sync, so you slow down. This is not a conscious thing. You just start speaking and then you sort of continue to speak until you are speaking really slowly. So it goes like every time. My wife used to think that was the funniest thing, because my original microphone didn't have a hardware headphone jack, so I tried to use the software one, and it just messed me up. Just could not talk at all, not even like narrate. Just conversation-wise, couldn't talk. The body is weird. Good morning, Dee. I hope you are doing well today. Fantastic, even. Awesome, possibly. Insert adjective here. Whatever your favorite adjective is. Spectacular is a good adjective. Alrighty. Right. I don't know what to do. Yes, puns are the most epic of loots, if you're searching for puns. Yeah, it is. even if you know that it's happening, you can't stop it. Yeah, I mean, that could be the best loot. The puns we made along the way, definitely there. Huh. That is very interesting. So I've got Twitch on my screen over there. I can see the Twitch chat. Mainly because when I get the gambling sounds, I can't see what's happened. So I look at the Twitch interface to see what happens. But it shows me whether you're watching, you have it open and unobscured, or if you have it minimized and you're just listening. That is so creepy. So, Monotheria, it says that you're watching without audio. So it's telling me that you're watching on mute. That is very, very interesting. I mean, I know why. Well, you're probably watching it on both streams, the YouTube and the Twitch one. So you don't want the echo, which is perfectly fine. I just find it fascinating that I mean, no complaints. A view is a view to me. I didn't know that they could detect audio and video, whether you're YouTube or Twitch, whether it's open or closed, or minimized, or... Good morning, Andy R. I hope you're doing well. So there was a point when, I can't remember, if you had it muted, you didn't earn ad revenue. Something like that. Something in the back of my mind is like there was some really important thing that happened with integrated streams. Yeah, I think it's because of the ad revenue. Because you're not watching the ads, so you're not paying as much attention. So you can't sell the ads at a higher rate, would be my guess. Thank you, Kevin Schultz, for popping past. I hope your day was great. And that work was, you know, expedient without incident. It's always the best work days. It's not saying anything for you, Postmatic. But maybe it takes a little while to pick it up. I'm not sure. Yeah, very much. Well, they don't even need to, well, they can detect whether it's open or closed. Your screen, minimized. If your computer's locked. Oh, you're saying that you just turned it down. Okay. So there's, yeah, the advertisers are trying to shaft Twitch, who's trying to shaft you guys and girls. Fair enough, Gene. That's the magic of somebody else doing it. My wife just uploaded that. So that'll be tonight's video. I do know Cult of the Dead Cow. They made the best zip software at one point. It wasn't WinZip. They've made some compression software. It was pretty cool. Well, I mean, if I mute my tabs in its entirety, but that's because I don't need the audio playing on all my tabs. But if you right-click mute my website, no matter what pops up from that website, it's muted. Yeah, I mean, the 24-hour stream has been going for, I can tell you. Without pause, without breakdown, 309 days without incident. And it's how long the 24-hour 7 or 24/7 stream has been going. Thankfully, excuse me, I put it on a cloud server or one of Google's servers, so they keep the maintenance up, so there aren't any hardware problems with it. So as long as nothing technical happens, it should just keep going forever and ever.
Sailing through the cosmos, it's my final voyage, leaving Earth behind.
Yeah, Taxes beats everybody at shafting's people.
Depths of space, where no one can hear.
It is, let's see, some interesting stats. Let's see if we can put up some interesting stats. It is 309 days. It has currently 883,369 views. It averages 200 views. It has 5,000 likes. And 124 dislikes. Interesting.
To the outer realms where my fate awaits. Oh, I'm
Random stats.
drifting through the night, chasing dreams that spark.
Yeah, I mean, the server is Linux, so it's pretty stable. Especially, I'm not doing anything too heavy on it. Getting it set up was a pain, but once you get it set up, it just chugs along. I think that's the same with all tax associations. When you owe them money, it has to be yesterday. When they owe you money, it'd be like, what are you talking about? 30, 60, 90 days. And then that's all tax places. Fair enough, Kevin, fair enough. Look, also, I mean, my average for the channel is 99% upvotes. But I rarely ever get 100%. It's always one or two people that don't like the specific story. And that's fine. I'm not the sort of person to say, you have to like all the stories. Well, I'm glad that it's helped, Andy. I really am. And I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Oof. Well, I don't know about YouTube's collective processes, but I imagine that doesn't include the aliens. Flubbered. I have looked into it. There's two kind of problems. One is minor. One, the lead character is female, and that means I need to do a female voice longer than I would otherwise do it. So it puts a little bit extra strain on the voice. But that's not the only thing. The other thing is the average chapter length is 30 minutes, which is way longer than I normally go with. I normally aim between 10 and 20 minutes of an average chapter length. So Power Armor is quite long. Job for a Death Welder is also quite long. One of the major things. So, I mean, doing an occasional female voice is fine. Or having female characters is fine. But when your main protagonist is female, it means you will be doing the female voice. Well, my female voice. Extensively. So it could put an extra strain. So that's one of the reasons. But the bigger reason really is the length of the chapters. Well, I mean, in YouTube's opinion, a downvote and an upvote are the same thing. It's engagement. It's why you have channels with tens of thousands of downvotes that's still successful, because YouTube recognizes it as interaction. That's what they want, is interaction. Chats, comments, upvote, downvote, that's all they care about. And then time. Excuse me. It sounded like an interesting story. I read it. I think I read the first chapter. And then checked the average chapter length. I was like, okay, it's going to be a bit too much for the channel. If I did do it, it would be the only series running on the channel. And then it will still be quite difficult, especially if they have like a longer 40-minute channel. So, yeah, a hate watch is still a watch, definitely. Doesn't matter what, they don't care what you feel when you watch my stuff. They just care that you feel something, enough to push a button. That's all they care about. And that you watch all the way through. Thank you, Milia. Thank you for the kind words. It's very much appreciated. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. And hopefully I'm inspiring you to do good things rather than bad things. But yeah, thank you for the kind words. Look, I mean, what's the you say that, Kevin. There is, and has been for a long time, before all this AI stuff happened, there was a website that you could go to. You couldn't Google it. You had to have the specific links to it. But you could drop a picture in there. This is a YouTube service, a Google service. You could drop a picture in there, and it would tell you, it would identify all the objects. It would identify the mood of the picture. It would identify the separate elements in the picture and the moods of those elements in the picture. If there was a happy human, it would detect that and give you an overall psychological evaluation of the picture. So this is old technology. So they can do that with the written word as well. But they don't care, because it doesn't matter. They don't care whether it's a nice comment to the YouTuber or a bad comment to the YouTuber. They just care that there's a comment. Good afternoon, Acriphius. I hope you're doing well. Yes, it does. So the stream automatically plays adverts. So if you're leaving it open while you sleep and you find it soothing to fall asleep to, that's great. But it helps push that view count up. And the more the view count is, the more people will watch it. Thank you, Milia. It's very much appreciated. I think this might sound a bit pretentious. I don't know. Look, the single best quality to succeed is stubbornness. Knowing when to give up, but also not being afraid to fail. So I did everything I could for the channel. We got... IDK means I don't know. It's an abbreviation for I don't know. Yeah, so I didn't have much of a choice, really. It was this or this, really. It was a desperate plea to make money, to put food on the table and stuff, so sacrificing myself through sickness and whatever was only logical. But we got you, so I don't have to do that anymore. But I'm not going to say the only thing is hard work. That's awesome, Kevin. I think they pushed the live streams more. So they get money from live streams, in theory. So live stream, super chat, they take 30%. So it's an extra revenue source for them. So they would probably get ad revenue. And then they would also get super chat revenue. So they would push the live streams. That is true. Life in general is hard work. Nobody said it would be easy. Nobody said it should be easy. It sucks sometimes, but that's life, unfortunately. Yeah. Hate watching is a thing. That's reality TV. There is a very small portion of people that enjoy reality TV, or any specific reality TV. There is a massive amount of people who love Schadenfreude and just hate watch reality TV. Just look at what was the IRL streamers in real life. I don't think anybody likes them, but they get money. They get views because people don't like them. I think an autobiography needs to happen near the end of something. I've only been doing this for 5 years, hardly a career yet. I'm not a veteran. I don't think I'm nearly important enough to write an autobiography. But if I ever did, I would narrate it. I lead a pretty boring life, and I like it that way. Boring is underrated. I've had an exciting year of 4 surgeries and a bunch of other stuff. Boring's cool. Every week that, nothing spectacular happens is good. The best description of YouTube I've ever heard is it is a lottery that you have to work to win. Yeah, I think that's the way they would do it. I know at one point they were pushing live streams more than any other form of content. Then they went to shorts. But shorts doesn't pay. Doesn't pay them, and it doesn't pay the creators, really, in the numbers wise. So streams, they can get direct funding through super chats. So that's why I'd imagine they push the streams. I mean, I know my partner manager, not the current one, the one before, was always like, you need to stream. If you can, just stream. That's the most popular thing now. Stream, 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 stream. So I think it's because that means they can get extra money. Ad rates apparently are quite low at the moment from the Google side to the advertisers. So, I mean, that can make a big difference. Kevin Schultz, we are immigrating. We're in the middle of the process. Hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months, we should be out of the country. We had to stop the process for England, and we changed to Portugal because England just wasn't happening. We've had more success and movement on the immigration process to Portugal than we did to England. And I'm an English citizen, so I've got a British passport. And it was still easier to go to Portugal. To immigrate to Portugal. Thank you for the kind words, Millie. It is appreciated. Portugal have a thing called the D7 visa. So if you earn international money over a certain limit, you can get permanent residence in Portugal. I don't think it's too much. What is it? I think it's 10,000 euros. I mean, it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but that's annually. So if you earn 10,000 euros, you can go to Portugal. Obviously, you need to do a whole bunch of other stuff, but essentially, there's that. It's so that they can get tax money. and it has to be international. So, I mean, YouTube's international, so I have no problem. Well, I mean, yes, shorts, reels, TikToks, all of that is great for whatever format you're trying to do. It doesn't work for this channel. So, I mean, if you're getting people who like 60-second stories, how many of those convert into people that like a half an hour long story? So, I mean, I've tried shorts. It's never been successful for me. Yeah, so, I mean, Kevin, it's not specifically me that's the problem. There's a lot of requirements for my wife and then my brother-in-law as well. So those are hurdles that they just won't help us with. My wife, I think it would take another 6 months to a year, and we might be able to get her in, and my brother-in-law wouldn't. Fair enough, Millie. I do understand that. But it's about options. Most countries in the world don't want me. My skill set isn't special to them, or I don't bring anything to the table. Something like America would be $100,000+. England, we spent a good chunk of money getting lawyers involved. Portugal is also still paid lawyers, so it's all expensive. New Zealand, Australia, they don't want us. Most of the European countries don't want us, or don't want the family and me. You'd imagine I'd run a successful business that I could just walk into any country, but that's far from the truth. It needs to be a stupidly successful business to be able to do that. That's quite good, Charles. That is good. So, getting people to click something, especially an external link, is difficult. A lot more difficult than you'd imagine. So, in the terms of YouTube, you make a thumbnail. And the combination of your thumbnail and your title means it gets served to X amount of people. Doesn't matter how many. Then the metric is click-through rate. So you click on it, and it's a click-through rate. The average is 5%. A good click-through rate is 7.5%. And a viral click-through rate is 15%. So if you can get 15% of people just to click on a link, to click on a thumbnail, you are in the top Mr. Beast tier YouTubers. That's how much people don't like clicking stuff. So when you say link in the description, most people aren't going to click that. I'd be surprised if they get 5% click-through rate on that. Yeah, something to think about. I mean, I am considering doing some, if I get invited to some conventions. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, so, I mean, skilled labor, you can go anywhere. What I do is not wanted. Well, but even then, it doesn't get served to people. I mean, there's I think it's a different thought process for shorts. Same as there's a difference between videos and streaming. So there is a slight difference between all three. And shorts just don't really resonate with me and my content. Yeah. One, the pay is crap. The two, you can destroy your channel by trying to do shorts. That's why a lot of big YouTubers went for a separate channel. Yeah. Well, bot stuff, also trend hopping. That's basically your shorts. If one person has a viral hit, you'll have 100,000 channels doing the same thing tomorrow. There's such a short turnaround time on a short that you can just hop on trends almost instantly. Problem is, when you start missing the trends, your channel just destroyed. I mean, I think Mr. Beast, he did a 50 million views on his shorts channel and he got $10. It's ridiculous how little people get paid for it. They get more money through sponsorships. Which series are you talking about, Millie? Oh, Dungeon Life. Dungeon Life was a good one. I think it's the one you're talking about. Yeah, all right. Charles, I wouldn't be surprised if people do that already. So I stopped narrating it because the authors signed an exclusivity clause with a publishing company. If I did narrate it, I would be breaking the law and I would be liable for costs and being sued. So Dungeon Life will never happen again. Unless somehow the author gets the audio rights back and gives them to me. It's the same with any series that have been removed from the channel because of contracts. That's weird, Kevin. There are other people talking. Yeah, maybe you need to reset or refresh. You talking to me, Charles? I'm pretty sure I'm on live chat. I'm not sure though. I run a combined chat, so I can't see which one I'm on. I'd imagine live. Not a problem, Red Vex. Not a problem. Probably a good time to head to sleep. But yeah, so Dungeon Life is one of a dozen series that I've had to remove because of legal issues. Well, not legal issues. The authors signed contracts. And, you know, no ill will to anybody. The more authors that sign contracts, the better. Luminous Dave, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. It's very much appreciated. And he says, hello Aggro, you and another HFY YouTuber are my favorite for HFY content. Thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. That's fine, Lydia. I've always said that people need to worry about themselves and their families before they worry about me. I'm not going to starve to death. I'm not going to turn away money, but I'm also not going to starve to death. So I would rather a subscriber be around for long term and spend responsibly than waste money on me and be around short term, if that makes sense. Yeah, so each one should have its own icon. Even X has its own icon. We've got 9 people watching on X. Ooh. Breaking platform barriers all over the place. Excuse me. That is true, Gene. We're at 240 out of 260 for followers on Twitch. Thank you very much, Deity. It's very much appreciated. We're getting there. This week's been a bit touch and go because I've got a bit of a sinus infection. But next week we should be back to the grindstone, really. Million, it's all up to you. Sorry. I would never tell anybody they have to spend money on me. It's help support the channel. So look after yourself first before worrying about me. Acrifius, currently we're on X or Twitter, YouTube and Twitch. Busy debating whether to go to Kick, because they're trying to clean up their reputation now. But I don't know for sure. There's a lot of really, really dodgy content on Kick. No, Kevin. When I say back to the grindstone, I mean getting my voice up to 100%. Until it reaches 100%, we probably won't be doing series. So it's probably another month before we start with series. First is HF1 one-shots, second is one-shots or TFOS. And then once those two are easily done, I will move over to series again. Currently, I'm about 50% of the stamina that I had before the operation. So it'll take a little while to get the rest of the way there. As you can hear, my voice is already starting to take strain. I wish I could snap my fingers and just peel, but there's atrophy in the muscles, and also the shock of surgery means that recovering the muscles takes time. I got my rusty, trusty voice exercise machine, which is the bottle with the invisible straw. So I do that every day to increase the stamina and strength of the voice. Luminous Dave, it sounds familiar, but I would not be able to tell you the title. Unfortunately, after almost 3,000 to 4,000 stories, the titles kind of blurred together in my head. I don't even remember the title of my favorite story, to be quite honest. Fair enough, Charles, fair enough. Goodbye, Amelia. Thank you for following past. It's very much appreciated. Hope you have a good day. No, that's true. My name is, whatever. Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Alrighty. As you can hear, the voice is deteriorating a bit. Nothing too serious. It's just an effect from yesterday and not sleeping well. At least we got to do one story, and that is always a good day. So I think I'm going to end the stream. It's a bit early, but it is what it is. I'd like to thank you all for spending your time with me, your precious time. This is very much appreciated. Hopefully I was able to entertain you enough. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Yeah, the sinus infection also doesn't help. But I am on antibiotics and cortisone, so it should be cleared up by Sunday. Well, not cleared up, better. So just a reminder, there is no stream tomorrow. It's my day off. And I will be streaming again on Sunday. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Luminous David is very much appreciated. And you say, for the amazing stories that you've covered. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the content. I'll see you all on Sunday at 10 a.m. GMT2. Hope you have a great one. Cheers.